Hi everyone. How are you doing? Today I am very appreciated to do the presentation about the village by the sea. There are 22 characters. 1. Leela. Leela is a young girl of 13 living in a poor fishing village in India. She has 3 younger siblings, and together they are forced to care for themselves after their mother gets ill and their father starts drinking and stops working. Despite the hardships she is forced to endure, Leela remains optimistic and tries to help her family. She takes over the responsibilities her mother had and takes care of her younger sisters, while also cooking and cleaning around the house. She grows up quickly, just like her brother Hari. 2. Hari. Hari is Leela's thoughtful younger brother, a boy of 12 years old. Hari is forced to grow up rapidly because of their family situation. He gives up going to school, because their family is no longer able to afford it and starts working in the fields instead. Hari realizes that his sister's future depends on him and that forces him to work hard and think about new possibilities to make money. He is initially intrigued by the possibility of work in the factory, but then travels to Bombay with protesters, because he realizes it will not be good for his village. There he endures loneliness and difficult working conditions, but he manages to set aside money and befriend the kind, older watchmaker named Mr. Pinwalla. Eventually Hari realizes he is not a city boy and desires to go home. He takes his money and his plans to set up a poultry farm and a watch shop in Alabama, and returns to his family. 3. Biju. Biju is a wealthy fisherman in the village where Hari and Leela live. He most likely made his fortune through smuggling and is prone to boasting and bragging. However, the villagers admire him because he is one of their own who managed to make a lot of money. He also earns their approbation when he and his new boat help rescue some of the fishermen lost during the violent monsoon storm. 4. Bella. Bella is, like Kamal, Leela and Hari's younger sister. She is still in school, and though she works hard to help the family, she is still young and likes sweets and playing. 5. Kamal. Kamal is, like Bella, Leela and Hari's younger sister. She is still in school, and though she works hard to help the family, she is still young and likes sweets and playing. 6. Mr. Pinwalla. Mr. Pinwalla is an old watchmaker living in Bombay. He takes Hari under his wing and teaches him how to repair and make watches. He is described as an old, gentle, kind-hearted man who genuinely wants to help Hari. Because of him, Hari is able to return to his village with a prospect of opening his own repair shop in the future. 7. Leela. Leela is a watchman in the D Silva's apartment building in Bombay. He pities Hari and introduces him to one of his friends who is able to offer Hari work and a place to stay. 8. Jag. Jag is a restaurant owner in Mumbai and a friend of Leela. He offers the young boy a place to stay and a job in his restaurant. He is kind, although rather reticent and harried. He isn't very compassionate towards his own family though, which is something Hari sees firsthand when Jag brings the sick boy home one night in a misguided effort to help him. 9. Mr. D Silva. Mr. D Silva is a wealthy man from Bombay who sometimes visits the fishing village where Leela and Hari live. He is a kind man and offers to give Hari a job in Mumbai. After Hari leaves though, Mr. D Silva is the one who takes Hari and Leela's mother to the hospital and pays for the bills. 10. Meena. She is a young girl from the village and a good friend of Leela. Meena's family is not rich, but has more money than Leela's, and they live near the temple. 11. Mrs. D Silva. She is Mr. D Silva's wife who comes with him to the fishing village. She is kindly and generous. 12. Father. For most of the novel, Father is a disappointing, angry drunk who cannot provide for his family and is quick to criticize his children. After his wife goes to the hospital though, he begins to shed his bad habits and gives up drinking. He is still a bit gruff, but it is clear he feels regret for his past actions and will most likely endeavor to do better. 13. Mother. Mother is ill throughout most of the novel, and no one quite knows what is wrong with her. She finally goes to the hospital thanks to the D Silvas, where she receives treatment and undergoes rest for a case of tuberculosis and anemia. She improves enough to go home, and regains her warmth and vitality. 14. Ramu. Hari's close friend. He is a staunch proponent of the factory being built because he assumes he will get employment there. 15. Bola and Mahesh. Two of Hari's friends. Both want jobs at the factory. 16. The factory man. The representative of the fertilizer factory who speaks to the villagers. He is impatient, scornful, and rude. He is full of boastful comments about the factory and insults for the villagers, whom he sees as ignorant pumpkinheads. 17. Haribai Kanicker. The older woman who lives next door to the children, she is the mother of the Kanicker boys, all of whom are drunk, coarse, and volatile. She stands up to them, however, and helps the children a few times. 18. The medicine man. Haribai suggests Leela find this man to hopefully heal her mother, but Leela ends up being somewhat disappointed with him. Though sharp-eyed with an air of magic about him, his demands seem outsized compared with his help for mother. 19. Adarkar. He is a youthful and fiery speaker who rallies the villagers of Thul to join other men from the district of Allahabad to travel to Bombay to protest against the coming fertilizer factory. 20. Said Ali. He is a wise-looking, educated, and elderly man who passionately speaks on behalf of the Allahabad people. He knows the factory will be bad for them and for Bombay, which cannot handle another influx of people. He is the visitor that D Silva's invite to stay in their vacation home in Thul, and there he watches birds and delights in their behavior. When Hari visits him, he tells the boy how despondent he is with the changes modernity and capitalism and industry are bringing to India, but Hari's will to adapt inspires the old man. 21. Harilal. The friendly doorman at the Sabird, he points Hari to his job at Jag's. 22. Jag's wife. A poor, weary, and troubled woman, she is initially hostile to Hari when Jag brings the boy home, but she is later kind to him because he confides in her that his father drinks and beats his mother. The village by the sea summary. The novel's action takes place in a fishing village near the sea named Thul, located in a rural area in India. The novel follows the life of a small family forced to live in poverty. The parents are unable to take care of their 4 children. The mother is sick with an unknown illness and the father is given to drink and dissolution, so the oldest two, Leela and Hari, assume the roles of adults in the house. Leela takes care of her mother and takes care of the house, while her brother works in the fields in order to financially sustain his family. The family ended up in this situation after Leela, Hari, Kamal, and Belu's father was tricked into believing that if he paid a large sum of money, someone would find him a job and go. The man ran away with the money and the father stopped working and started drinking excessively, which put a strain on the family. Hari begins to think about better ways in which he could help his family, and believes their prospects might get better when he hears that a factory will be built in their village. All of Hari's friends are excited, but Hari tries to have a more realistic view on whether he will find work in the factory. Their situation changes a bit when the D Silva family comes into the village. They are a rich family who vacation at their seaside home several times a year, and they always employ the children. Leela and Hari start helping them and become their servants. After finding out about their situation, Mr. D Silva offers Hari a job in Bombay as a car washer. At first, Hari is suspicious of his offer, but then analyzes his situation and reaches the conclusion that Leela will never be able to find a good husband without money and that it is now his responsibility to provide for his family. The factory man begins to cause a stir when he tells Hari and other villagers about the major changes the fertilizer factory will bring: jobs for skilled people, land set aside for houses for the thousands who will flood in, the removal of rice and other crops, etc. This causes consternation among the villagers, and soon a protest begins to form. A group of men led by the charismatic Adarkar decides to go to Bombay to speak with the government. Hari is roused by the words of Adarkar and decides to go to Bombay to stand up for his people. He does not tell his sisters. When he arrives in Bombay, he is stunned by the city, its buildings, its crowds, the smells and noises, the cars. He listens to Adarkar and other speakers, but quickly realizes he has no role to play. All of a sudden he is aware of his impetuosity in coming here and he feels very alone. He remembers Mr. D Silva's offer and manages to find the residence, but the root servant tells him that D Silvas are not in town. A kindly watchman tells him he will take him to his friend Jag. Jag agrees to let Hari work in his restaurant, so Hari sends home a postcard letting his sisters know where he is and that he is going to bring his earnings to them. Life is hard for Hari in Bombay, but he works hard. While working for Jag, Hari meets Mr. Pinwalla, who takes Hari under his wing and starts to teach him how to make watches and how to repair them. During the time Hari is in Bombay, Leela finds succor from the D Silva family. When they come for their vacation, Leela works for them. She asks Mr. D Silva to take her mother to the hospital when she hears he is driving that way, and he immediately agrees and says he will take care of everything. When Leela's father hears of this, he yells at her in a drunken rage, but he goes to the hospital and remains at his wife's side. He also gives up drinking and is much more subdued. Leela visits every week, and her mother improves more and more. The D Silvas depart, but another guest stays in the home, a venerable political leader studying birds that, coincidentally, Hari heard speak in Bombay. He is quiet and kindly and pays the girls well. Monsoon season is hard for both Hari in Bombay and the villagers by the sea. When Hari hears on the radio that fishing boats out of Alabama were lost in a storm, he decides he must return home. He knows he belongs with his family by the sea. He decides to go with Diwali, and continues to learn the watchmaking trade from Mr. Pinwalla in the interim. Hari returns and has an emotional reunion with his sisters. He is stunned to hear of his mother's improvement and his father's sobriety. He tells Leela that he has decided to start a small business raising animals, while thinking that he will open his own watch shop in the future. Both business options are good for when the factory crowds come. Hari visits his mother in the hospital and is thrilled to see that the years of illness have fallen away. His father also seems pleased to see him in his own gruff way. Hari and his father are able to take mother home for Diwali. The celebrations are delightful and heartwarming for the family. Hari slips away for a moment during the preparations to see the man at the mountain repos. He talks with him briefly about bird watching and suddenly realizes that he is Said Ali, the impassioned speaker from Bombay. Ali is kindly like Mr. Pinwalla, but expresses sadness about the changes coming to Alabama. Hari tells him what he is doing and Ali perks up, admiring Hari's will to adapt. The novel ends with the family contentedly celebrating, grateful for the positive changes in their lives. That's all about The Village by the Sea. Thank you for watching my video. Please subscribe, like and share to channel D Sreyoun in order to get more videos. Thank you.